Hey, Big Train fans. Welcome to our 2020 virtual baseball and holiday auction.
I miss seeing all of you at Povich Field this summer, but I'm excited for our Big Train family to come together tonight.
Over the next hour, you'll hear from a fantastic guest speaker, stars from our 2019 championship team, and Big Train staff members and awardees.
Plus, we'll keep you updated on the week's auction items, which you can learn more about just by clicking on the link below. But so just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show and bid more and more.
Welcome, Big Train fans. I'm Bruce Adams. John Ourisman and I founded the Bethesda Community Baseball Club in 1998. Our goals were to provide local baseball fans with family fun at affordable prices right near home while helping to build a stronger community here in Montgomery County. Back in the day, we hosted an annual Big Train baseball and holiday auction as a way to bring the Big Train family together in the off season. We passed out awards to our top players and our best volunteers who make Big Train baseball possible. We had terrific speakers. Each year we held an auction where Big Train fans could buy wonderful holiday gifts at really reasonable prices. This year we're determined not to let the virus stop us from our annual celebration. You're about to hear from our great friend ESPN's Tim Kurkjian. But first I want to make sure you're aware of the fabulous items that we are auctioning off this week. We're having 4 Sunday night specials here on BigTrain.tv with a week-long auction associated with each special. This week's auction includes 31 items, and you can find them all at bigtrain.org. Before we hear from Tim, let me just tell you about the week's 5 featured items. The first item is really special. Cal Ripken has signed one of the number 8 numbers from the original Povich Field hand-operated scoreboard. This is the ultimate prize for a hardcore Big Train fan. I guarantee you can't find this anywhere on the web. After you hear from Tim Kurkjian tonight, you're going to want to bid on a 45-minute Zoom session with Tim. You and 5 of your friends will have the ultimate hot stove experience this winter with baseball's finest analyst. And you'll get one of the very few remaining Big Train Tim Kurkjian bobbleheads. So Barry Weinberg, a Silver Spring native who served as the head athletic trainer of the St. Louis Cardinals for 2 decades, sent me an email a few weeks ago. Said, had a surprise visitor to golf with on Sunday, so I got him to sign you a ball. I looked on the web. I could not find an Albert Pujols signed ball anywhere near as cool as the one that we have in this auction. He wrote 3X MVP, 600 HR, 3,000 hit, 2,000 RBI. Seriously, this is a magnificent ball. Somebody's probably going to get this at way under its real value. Big Train board member Rachel Northridge was able to get Monumental Sports to donate a jersey autographed by Wizard superstar and 2-time All-Star Bradley Beal. Back-to-back 50-point games? Seriously? I remember watching my godson playing youth soccer in Kensington and thinking, gee, this kid's pretty talented. Well, I got that right. 2-time national champion at Clemson who won college soccer's premier award. Bruce Murray was the all-time highest goal scorer in international competition for Team USA when he retired. When the Montgomery County Sports Hall of Fame inducted its first class in 2019, Bruce was in the hall along with Walter Johnson. Bruce donated 1 week of summer camp at the new Bruce Murray Soccer Academy in Germantown. Our general manager, Chris Rogers, has done a fabulous job presenting these items to make your holiday shopping incredibly easy. Bidding closes on the 31 items on Wednesday night, November 18th at 10 p.m. These are first-rate items, most of which will probably go somewhat below market prices. Your family and friends will be so excited to receive these gifts. So bid often, bid high. The money we raise at the holiday auction will help us be able to bring the fun back to Shirley Povich Field in 2021 after this horrible year. With your support, we're going to dedicate our 2021 season to the nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and public safety workers who are helping us get through this crisis. We're here tonight with our favorite baseball commentator and Bethesda native son, ESPN's Tim Kurkjian, a living, breathing baseball encyclopedia and a great friend of Big Train Baseball. Welcome, Tim. For many years, you were kind enough to join us as the featured speaker of our Big Train Baseball and holiday auction. In this COVID year, we're doing this for the first time virtually, and we are so grateful to have you join us tonight. So first and most important, how are you doing in this crazy year?
It's been the most bizarre year of my life. Professionally, by far the most bizarre year of my life. We did a bunch of games this year from my house, which was not very easy to do given the play-by-play guy, Carl Ravitch, was 400 miles away. The other analyst, Eduardo Perez, was 1,500 miles away. And the game often was 3,000 miles away. But somehow we pulled it off. And in the big picture, baseball miraculously finished the season, finished the World Series. So I think we all need to be very thankful that somehow, some way we got through that. And let's all hope we don't have to go through that again.
We sure do. So the highlight of our auctions back in the day was always your take on the World Series. But my question tonight is, why did they even bother to play? So here's a clip from ESPN on September 27th.
I think the Rays are going from the American League. They have 3 really good starting pitchers. They find a way to get people out. They keep the double play in order. They don't make mistakes on the bases. They're very fundamental. I think they're going to play the Dodgers in the World Series, and the Dodgers are going to win for the first time since 1988.
Rays, Dodgers win 16 seconds. Tim, I know ESPN, they pay you the big bucks to be that good, but really, was it that obvious?
No, that was a guess on my part. You're never, ever going to hear me boasting, hey, I got the World Series right this year.
But you did.
Every other year we get it wrong. This is the ultimate beauty of baseball, is that it's too good to be predicted. It's too good to know what the answers are. The best part about the game is we don't know what's going to happen next. So yes, I think it was predictable that the Dodgers were the best team in baseball from the first day of the season until the last day of the season. As for the Rays, they had the best team in the American League. That was not exactly going out on a limb to call that. I'm glad I got it right for once.
Now, I want to take you back to spring training. Where were you when you heard that MLB was locking it down, and what was your first reaction?
Well, I was in Clearwater, Florida, and it became obvious right away. We're not going to have spring training the rest of this spring. So I jumped on a plane knowing I got to get home. I got things to do at home also, and this is not the place to be. No players were there. They were all gone. It all happened so quickly. So I got on a plane and went home. And I haven't been on a plane since. It's unbelievable. Here's a guy who travels all the time. And I've not been on a plane since I flew home from Florida in the first, 10 days of March, whatever it was. As soon as Rudy Gobert tested positive and the NBA said, we got big trouble, I think everyone in baseball said, we're next. And that's precisely what happened.
Did you think there was going to be a season?
I did. All along, I thought there would be a season, but I was not totally optimistic. I mean, I was 60-40, 70-30. And then the second question is, once we started, did I think we would finish? I was more pessimistic that we would ever finish. And then after the Marlins and the Cardinals went through what they went through, I said, boy, we're in big trouble. If we get through this year, it'll be a miracle. And they did. It was incredible. And again, a lot of people deserve a lot of credit, but mostly the players showed a discipline and followed the health and safety protocols, and we got it in. What a relief that was.
I know you and I spoke in June, and I was certain that they wouldn't get through the summer camp. So I was really happy to be wrong about that. It was really impressive. How did Major League Baseball pull this off?
Well, there was a lot of money at stake. So they told everybody, look, we're going to do this right. And then when a few teams and a few players that first weekend of the regular season stopped following the protocols and went on a road trip for the first time, and people were a little bit too lax, and there were too many celebrations on the field, the commissioner eventually had to step in and say, look, fellas, we're not going to have a season unless all of us do a whole lot better here. And this is where I really commend the players for saying, all right, if we want to finish this year, and if we all want to get paid and we want to have a champion at the end, we have to do the right thing. And then they went like 59 straight days at one point without a positive test. That's really impressive given how many positive tests there were early in the season.
So tell me how you got the idea for the baseball fix.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to do here, Bruce. I don't have a lot of hobbies. I'm not real good at a lot of stuff. I mean, I love baseball. I love basketball. But after that, I'm not sure what to do with myself. So I decided, some friends of mine told me how much they missed the game. I know how much I missed the game. So I invented this idea. I went to my editors thinking they'll never go for this. I said, I want to write something every day, this date in baseball history, but my little personal special take on it. Meaning I'm not going to take the biggest thing that happened on this day. I'm going to pick something different every day. Sometimes it's the biggest thing, but I'm going to write about something that I know about. And some of it's going to be really serious and some of it's not going to be serious, but it's going to be done in my voice. And we ran it 101 straight days with accompanying video. That was, I didn't know we were going to go that long. And I was frankly prepared to go even longer. I had another month of ideas ready to go. But when we got to 101 and the players were actually reporting to spring training, I said, all this is a fill-in while there's no baseball. That's all it is. When baseball comes back, this ends. So that's where it ended. And I love doing it. It was a lot of work, but it was very enjoyable.
And people can go see it? Can go to an archive?
I stink so bad at technology, but yeah, I think if you Google the baseball fix or
it's all there.
Baseball fix, it's all there. My brother, who's my age, he went back and like watched like the first 40 episodes, and he did it in a very short amount of time because the little videos were only about a minute each, minute and a half at the most. So yeah, it was again just my little way of saying, look, baseball is still the greatest game, and you can still enjoy it even though we're not playing on the field right now.
Well, it was a great contribution, so thank you for that. I want to go back to MLB. How much of the success of the bubble was the result of extraordinary planning and execution, and how much was just good luck?
Well, I think it was a little bit of everything, and I think the NBA and the NHL have to take some credit for this, because once it started to work in the NBA, Major League Baseball looked and said, well, we got to try this. Because the danger with baseball was we got 30 different major league parks in play, and the players are all going somewhere after the game. Whereas in the NBA bubble, they're essentially all going to the same place. Once you're in the bubble, you're safe in the bubble. Baseball didn't have that. So baseball did an enormously good job of planning everything. Fortunately, they found venues that could take it. You know, Dodger Stadium, San Diego, Texas, of course. So everyone deserves a lot of credit for that. Baseball got off to a terrible start, you know, with the canceling of spring training, and then they couldn't reach an agreement. But they finished pretty strong, and the bubble had a lot to do with it.
Yep. So when the baseball fans look back on 2020, 2 decades from now, how are they going to regard the 2020 shortened season?
Well, it will go down as obviously the strangest, most bizarre season in Major League history. It will go down as the worst, the best, the smartest, the stupidest, the strangest season ever, because it was a little bit of everything. And the fact that all these different rules were put in play was necessary just to get through the season. So when people look back at this, they're going to know the backstory, because people are going to write all sorts of books about this. And they read all sorts of stories, but they're going to realize baseball, under extraordinarily difficult circumstances, did its best to play a season. And that first week of the playoffs was spectacular. We had 8 playoff games in one day. I jokingly said on Baseball Tonight, today is the greatest day of my whole life. And people actually took me seriously. Like, people challenged me, Tim, you have 2 children. What's wrong with you? This is more important than the birth of your children. No, it's not. The point is, They got through 8 playoff games. It was so much fun to watch. It was crazy, but it was crazy good, at least for a while.
It was a day made for Tim Kurkjian. So in 2040, is anybody going to remember the time when pitchers batted?
I think we're done with pitchers batting. And I'll tell you, I miss that. I will miss it. I missed it this year. I think it's kind of cool when a pitcher who's not supposed to be able to hit is able to hit. When Rick Porcello hit a 3-run double off of Max Scherzer in a game a couple years ago, the game I was covering, we were saying he has no chance to put this ball in play. And they walked a guy to get to him. And then he hit a 3-run triple, 3-run double. It was unbelievable. Those stories are gone now. Great hitting pitchers are no longer. I think we're going to go to the universal DH next year. And frankly, I'm okay with it. I would be just as okay with the pitchers batting in both leagues. I just want the same set of rules in each league. And however you do that is fine. And from a practical matter, there's just no way that baseball, the union, is going to allow a DH, a very high-paying, lucrative job, to go away. So let's accept the fact this is a sign of things to come.
Right. So will the softball rule for extra innings be just a fun one-off, or will it become an accepted part of baseball?
Well, I hope it's just a fun runoff, Bruce, because the operative word there was softball. Okay? This is not softball. This is not American Legion ball. This isn't even minor league baseball. This is the big leagues. This is the highest level. And therefore, I believe we should play it at its highest level. So I understand how cool it was for some people to watch that. But if you do that rule, you're going to be eliminating a lot of the 15-inning games, the 18-inning games. They're some of the most interesting games I've ever seen. So I just don't understand why we want the games to end so quickly. I mean, what's the big deal about going to the ballpark and spending some time there? I think when you have to use a tactic like this, it was fine for 2020. I'm not in favor of it beyond this year, and I don't think we'll see it next year.
So let's turn to the World Series. How does a Randy Arozarena happen? This game is so hard. How can someone emerge so suddenly in such a spectacular fashion?
Well, Bruce, there's only one answer to that, and the answer is it's baseball. And that's why we love it so much. Imagine this being the NBA, which I love, by the way. Imagine a guy coming out of the G League or the developmental league, whatever they call it, meaning a minor league player joins a championship caliber team, leads the team in scoring, and takes his team to the NBA Finals. That could never, ever happen, but it happens in baseball. The light goes on for certain guys at certain times. Then it goes out, and you never know when it's going on or when it's going out. Randy Arozarena is a great story. This is why baseball is so great. He had 10 homers in the postseason. He had 7 homers this year. It's 7 homers in his life. He had 10 in the postseason. This is how baseball operates. And who knows, maybe he'll be great. He's still a rookie next year, by the way. He still has rookie qualifications next year. So a guy who just hit 10 homers in the postseason is a rookie next year, and he might win the Rookie of the Year. He might also fall on his face. That's the beauty of baseball. We're never sure what's going to happen next.
So let's talk about starting pitchers. You and I spoke with Walter Johnson's grandson, Hank Thomas, this summer on our Safe at Home Tuesdays on BigTrain.tv. And give me a second here. I got to make a plug. Next Sunday, November 22nd, we're going to have Hank as our featured speaker on at our baseball and holiday auction. I think Tim will agree that Hank's got some great stories about baseball's Big Train. But our team namesake, Walter Johnson, the legendary Big Train, he started 666 games. He finished 531 of them. He had 110 complete game shutouts. No one will ever touch this mark. The magnificent Bulldog national starter, Max Scherzer, he has 5 career complete game shutouts. Now, everyone knows you're the nicest guy in baseball, but when a manager yanks a guy who's pitching the way Blake Snell was pitching in Game 6, wow, everyone watching this show tonight screamed at their television that night. I could ask you what you were thinking, but let's go to the video and see what you were saying.
I'm worried about our game. We have lost a feel for the game. We have stopped watching the games. In this postseason, relief pitchers threw more innings than our starting pitchers threw. We have lost the value of our starting pitchers. There is no way that a guy who faced 18 batters tonight, struck out 9 of them, had 1 hard hit ball, should be taken out. Nick Anderson is a great relief pitcher. He allowed 1 inherited run the whole season, but he allowed 3 in the postseason, and he set a major league record for most postseason appearances in a row, allowing a run. 7. He's not the same guy. We have stopped watching the game, and Kevin Cash is going to get killed for this, and rightfully so. But it's the front office of the Rays and the front office everywhere that has lost track of how the game should be played. I'm sorry. I give up. This is too much now.
So, Tim, you weren't happy. Kevin Cash is obviously a very talented manager. What is happening here, and what needs to happen for the good of the game?
All right, let's be clear. I wasn't unhappy or angry or upset. I'm worried. I'm concerned that we didn't even allow an ace to be an ace. We didn't even allow a 27-year-old pitcher who's 6'4", 225, working on full rest, won a Cy Young 2 years ago, and we let him throw 73 pitches. We didn't even let him be great. That's my concern. And we are going by, we're going by a schedule that's made up before the game. And it says you can't let him face it the third time around. Well, hello, sometimes, especially when you're playing the Dodgers, who are better than you are, you have to take a chance. And the Rays' best chance to win that game that night was Blake Snell. There's no guarantee they would have won, but they can't take him out there. And again, it speaks to a much larger issue here, that we have allowed our front office people, some of whom never played the game, to tell our managers who are in uniform, all of whom played the game, that this is not what you're going to do during the game. We're going to tell you what to do. And I feel for Kevin Cash. I really do. But all he was doing was following the blueprint that they followed all year. And it's the only way they could win this year was to follow that blueprint. But in Game 6 of the World Series, sometimes you have to ad lib. Sometimes you have to veer off course and do the right thing. And clearly, to me at least, that was the wrong thing. And Bruce, I have never seen, ever, the reaction that we got to a strategic move by a manager in a playoff game than what we saw there. And I'm hoping now that's the tipping point that a lot of people are going to start to ask, really, what are we doing? Are we doing it right? Because the answer is, I'm not sure we're doing it right anymore.
What would Walter Johnson have said if he'd seen that?
Well, again, Bruce, let's go. Walter Johnson is different. He pitched 120 years, 115 years ago. Look at Jim Palmer. Jim Palmer basically had more complete games in one season than our active leader in complete games. Not shutouts, Bruce. Justin Verlander has 26 complete games. He's the active leader. When I was growing up, guys routinely threw 25 complete games in a season. Now 26 is the career active leader in complete games. It's just not right. And if we gave our starting pitchers the option, do you want to pitch more or less? They're going to say more. Give me the ball. I'll take it. You're the ones that are taking me out, not you. Jim Palmer told me that Earl Weaver, he said to Earl Weaver once, "Earl, I'm tired." And Earl said, "No, you're not. I'll tell you when you're tired. Go out there." That's how it worked back then. Doesn't work that way anymore.
How's it going to change?
Well, this is going to have to start with our 12-year-old kids, literally. We're going to have to teach them a different way to hit in the batting cage. We're going to have to teach them to use the whole field. We're going to have to teach our 12-year-old kids that velocity is not the only way to get somebody out. Let's make somebody hit the ball. Let's throw a strike. Let's find another way to get this guy out without overpowering him, without lighting up the radar gun. I'm telling you, this is the only way out as far as I can tell. And I'm not the only one who feels this way. We're going to have to restart the game at a very young age because too many of these players now are so ingrained on this is how I hit. This is how I pitch. This is the only way I know how to do it. We need to teach them another way on their way up so they have a chance to try something else when they get to the big leagues.
I'm pretty sure you can guess which of the World Series games was my favorite. When we started Big Train in 1999, I could not have imagined I would be watching two Big Train alumni homer to win one of the most exciting games in World Series history and bring their team to a 2-game apiece situation. I mean, what a thrill that was for Big Train fans. At Povich Field, I hung Hunter Renfroe's retired number 11 as high on the light pole beyond left field as my sign guys could reach. Big Train fans had the privilege of seeing a lot of majestic Hunter Renfroe home runs, but none as magnificent as the moonshot in Game 4. So let's take a look at that.
Here is the 3-2 and a high fly ball into left. This ball is up and way out of here. It's a 3-2 game as Hunter Renfroe gets his first of the World Series.
That was fun. Hey, so Tim, you've seen every World Series game since forever. Where does that Game 4 rank in terms of pure excitement and entertainment?
Well, that's certainly the craziest finish I've
Yeah.
been to a World Series game. I was at the Buckner game. I've been at every World Series game until this year, of course, since 1981. But in the Buckner game, let's not forget, when Mookie Wilson hit that ball, the game was tied at the moment. When Brett Phillips hit that ball, the Rays were behind. The Rays were behind. So the ball he hit tied the score. Then the Dodgers made 2 errors on 1 play. No World Series game has ever ended with 2 guys making an error, allowing the go-ahead, the winning run to score like that in a walk-off fashion. And in the Buckner game, nobody fell rounding third base as Randy Arozarena did. I've watched that 100 times. Still cannot believe that happened in a big league game. We broke that thing down about 10 different ways the next day when we really had time with Mark Teixeira, first baseman, who put us in the first baseman's shoes, Max Muncy, then the center fielder, and then the catcher, and then the runner. It was like the most amazing confluence of craziness that I've ever seen. And I promise you, no World Series game has ever ended quite like that. And it will be a long, long time before another one does again.
For sure. Hey, so Tim, you've been kind enough to come out to a Big Train game every season for years. And for me, one of the best moments each year is getting to eavesdrop on your pregame pep talk to the players. Would you share with our audience what you've told Hunter Renfroe, Brendan Lau, and the other Big Train players over the years? That's a great talk you give.
Well, it's a very spontaneous thing. Believe me, I don't prepare any of that stuff. But the most important thing to get across to guys of that age, and kids who are 8, and kids who are 12, and major leaguers who are 35, is that this is the hardest game in the world to play. And a lot of people yell at me and they argue with me, but I maintain the degree of difficulty of this game is like nothing else. It's the old cliche, hitting a baseball is harder to do than anything in sports. I believe that with all my heart. I also think standing even with third base when Vlad Guerrero whistle once past your ear, that's not a particularly fun thing to do either. Trying to hit 95 is ridiculous. The game is just so difficult to play. So my message is always the same to these kids. Look, if you have a bad day, you can't go home and beat yourself up because you went 0 for 4. Mike Trout goes 0 for 4 all the time. And he's the best player we've seen maybe since Willie Mays. Who knows? No, when LeBron James has a bad game, he gets 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's a bad game for him. A bad game for Mike Trout. He goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. You go to watch him play and someone says that guy's the best player since Willie Mays. He might not do anything to show you how great he is because the game does not allow him to do that. But when you touch the ball on every possession and you have a sport that's wildly athletic like the NBA, that's a more athletic sport than baseball. but it's not harder to play than baseball. So that's what I tell all those kids. Look, you can't just give in and say, all right, the game beat me today. But every once in a while, you have to acknowledge, yes, it was better than me today. That can't happen again tomorrow. But if you go beat yourself up over it, that game will beat you to death, tear you to pieces, and you'll be left on the side of the road. That's how hard baseball is to play, and that's why I love it so much.
So, Big Train fans, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Tim Kurkjian. Big Train fans, if you're enjoying our interview with Tim Kurkjian, I hope you'll go online and make a donation of $25 or $50 to support our ability to produce these BigTrain.tv specials and prepare for another championship season of Big Train baseball in 2021. Or go to our auction where we have a game-used and signed bat by Big Train alumni Hunter Renfroe. So we're back with our favorite baseball guru, the magnificent Tim Kurkjian, and we've got 3 Big Train supporters ready with some questions. Delegate Marc Korman, the chair of the Montgomery County delegation to the Maryland General Assembly, is a hardcore baseball fan and generous supporter of the Big Train. Thanks, Mark, for agreeing to donate a 45-minute Talking Politics Zoom session to our auction. Mark's knowledge of Maryland government and politics is almost as encyclopedic as Tim's knowledge of baseball. So to all my fellow political junkies out there, you will want to bid on this opportunity. So Mark, thanks for your support. What's your question for Tim?
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Tim. So Tim, I represent divided territory, longtime Orioles fans, and then much newer Nats fans. So we're sort of curious, coming off a slightly disappointing season for the Nats, maybe an overachieving season for the in recovery Orioles. What do you see for these two teams in the offseason and going into next year?
I think the Nationals will be good next year, but the Braves are better than they are right now. The Mets just got bought by a guy who makes so much money, it's unbelievable. I think they have a chance to get significantly better. I think the Phillies are going to get better. I don't think the Marlins will be as good. So I think the point is the Nationals are going to be in a dogfight next year just to make the playoffs, even if there are 16 teams. This is very competitive division now. And I think we saw this year how much they missed Anthony Rendon, which is not a surprise. But if Strasburg, Scherzer, Corbin are healthy, they always have a chance. So I would say they're a mild contender at this moment. Let's see what they do to add another hitter or two, give some help to Juan Soto. As for the Orioles, I think they did overachieve. It was very fun to watch there for a while. They really scored some runs, which I did not see coming. But in the end, they're in a really difficult division. Also, Yankees, Rays, Blue Jays on the rise, and there's no way the Red Sox are going to be that bad next year. So I think we're in for a couple more long years with the Orioles, but at least they have a plan going forward, and they're going to lose at least with young players on the way up rather than older players on the way down.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Mark, for joining us, and thanks for all your support of Big Train. So, Tim, I want to thank you again for agreeing to allow us to use your name for our Big Train journalism interns. Being a Tim Kurkjian Sports Journalism Fellow is going to be a big boost to their futures in journalism. The 6 Kurkjian Fellows did a great job this summer helping fill the baseball void for Big Train fans with BigTrain.tv and the Big Train Beacon. So Shaun Salehi was one of our Kurkjian Fellows this summer, and Big Train fans are going to recognize Shaun as the host of our weekly Talkin' Baseball shows on BigTrain.tv this summer. So thanks for your good work this summer, Shaun. What do you have for Tim?
Well, first of all, Bruce and Tim, thank you both so much for all of the support you provided, not only myself, but all of the interns, and not just the media level, but all throughout the organization. These past 2 years I've been involved in the organization, and especially Tim. It is an honor to be called the Tim Kurkjian Fellow. We seriously appreciate you donating your name and your resources and time to allowing us to kind of learn how to succeed in this industry, especially now when it's very hard. And that's kind of where I want to go with this question is, what were some of the challenges that you really had to overcome and you faced on your way up the industry ladder in sports media?
Well, it sure didn't help that I graduated from high school at 5'2" and about 115 pounds. That was not a good look going into college, believe me. And when I first started covering Major League Baseball, I looked like I was about 13. I wasn't a whole lot bigger than when I graduated from high school. So that was the first challenge, was just trying to get by in a body that some players would look at me and say, really? You want to talk to me about baseball? What could you possibly know at your size? Well, I think that was unfair to look at me that way, but that's not the point. The second challenge was I lost 2 jobs in 2 months right out of working at newspapers. I was at the Washington Star in 1981. I was a staff writer there. I was doing some good stuff and the paper folded. That was it. They just said, all right, there is no more paper. The Washington Star went away. So I went to the Baltimore News American. I started there 2 days after the Star officially folded. And that paper laid me off after 2 months. So I lost 2 jobs in 2 months without really doing anything wrong. It was just, I ended up, and that was really the start of the death of the newspaper business. And the LA Times, a reporter called me one day as part of this death of the newspaper story and recognized I was one of the guys who lost 2 jobs in 2 months. So I jokingly told this guy, look, if I lose another job at a newspaper right away, I'm going to go join the circus or something like that. And I ended up on the front page of the LA Times. That's how bad it was. So that was the second challenge, was being with papers that were folding. But the third challenge was just learning how to do the beat. The beat job that I did in baseball was the most fun job I've ever had, by far the hardest job I've ever had. And my first full year on the beat, I got my brains beat out on the beat. I knew a lot about baseball. I knew all the statistics. I knew what I was watching. But in order to do a beat, you have to learn where the story is, how to get it, how to talk to a player. What do you do when someone is really mad about something? What about when he gets cut? What do you do then? Those are the things I had to learn my first full year on the beat. And it was not a good year for me. I mean, I loved it, but I learned a lot. And then once I realized I'm getting my brains beat out, I said, all right, I got to do something about this. And I learned how to do the beat after that.
So, Shaun, persistence and hard work are two of the lessons in sports journalism and life. So, thank you, Shaun, for being part of this. Big Train fans, I'm pleased to introduce to you Eric Cole. I met Eric and his son, my scorekeeping buddy Ryan, at Povich Field during the 2019 season. I was blown away by Eric's work establishing the Dandy Walker Alliance while holding down an important job at NIH. It might seem counterintuitive to some of you, but I learned a long time ago that when there's a job that needs to be done, you ask a busy person to do it. So when the Bethesda Community Baseball Club needed to be recreated to retake stewardship of Big Train baseball, Eric was one of the first people I went to. Eric's our vice president, and I can assure you that Eric is one of the most significant reasons that we've had such a productive first 5 months. So thank you, Eric, for what you've done for Big Train. If you would share a word about the Dandy Walker Alliance and a question for Tim.
Sure. Thanks, Bruce, and thanks, Tim, for being here. The Dandy Walker Alliance was founded here in Montgomery County in 2006. So we're going on 15 years old, where we support individuals with Dandy Walker, their caregivers, and set research priorities, as well as fund genetic sequencing to discover new genes involved in the condition. So Tim, my question is, yourself having grown up in a baseball family, going to Walter Johnson High School, playing and umpiring at Cabin John Park, what are your thoughts on how we can reinvigorate baseball in the local level here in communities across the country?
Well, that's a great question. We obviously have to get the kids involved as often as possible, and we need to make the game fun for them. Scott Bradley's the baseball coach at Princeton. This is what he worries about all the time, is the game is so difficult to play. For some kids, it's so boring that it's no fun. They go play a game, they play right field, they strike out twice, they get hit by a pitch, they don't catch a fly ball, and they go home saying, that wasn't any fun at all. We need to make the game more fun for our kids. And then when they get to be 12 or 13 years old, now they've developed a skill level where you could start to really work with them on things. So that's where it has to start, is with our kids at all ages, because I love all the other sports, but let's face it, guys, soccer, basketball, lacrosse have taken over baseball. How many times have you guys seen a pickup baseball game being played on an empty field these days? That's all we did. I'm 63 years old, but that's all we did when I was a kid. We would find 18 guys in the neighborhood, or 12 guys, or even 10 guys, and we'd go play a baseball game. We don't do that anymore. We have to get our kids out to the fields playing, and not necessarily with a coach hovering above them, showing them everything to do. Sometimes we want those kids to go out there and say, this is how Omar Vizquel fielded a ground ball, or this is the way that Mike Trout swings a bat. That's what we're looking for. Be creative with our children, and that's how we're going to generate more interest as they get older.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks to Mark and Shaun and Eric for your questions and loyal support of Big Train Baseball. And thank you, Tim Kurkjian, for your extraordinary support of Bethesda Big Train over many years. We're grateful to you. So Big Train fans, Tim has generously donated a 45-minute hot stove conversation with you and 5 of your favorite baseball fans. As a bonus, you get a Tim Kurkjian bobblehead. So be the envy of the hot stove world by being the high bidder at www.bigtrain.org. This auction is going to end at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, November the 18th. So thank you, Tim. Thank you so much for all your support of Big Train. We're going to be right back with a presentation of our Randy School's Outstanding Service Awards to the leaders of BCC baseball. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Bruce. See you guys.
1 in 10,000 children are born with a brain malformation known as Dandy-Walker syndrome. Dandy-Walker can cause enlargement of the skull, lack of muscle control, and other developmental challenges. More research is needed, but we do know that early therapy helps many live healthier, fuller lives. 1 in 10,000 may not seem like a lot unless your child is the one. Learn more, find help, and help others. Visit dandy-walker.org.
If you enjoyed our interview with Tim Kurkjian, I hope you'll go online and make a donation of $25 or $50 to support our ability to produce these BigTrain.tv specials. And remember, in addition to Zoom calls with Tim Kurkjian and Delegate Marc Korman, our online auction includes donations from our restaurant partners at Bradley Food and Beverage, Barrel and Crow, and Gregorio's. They have supported Big Train with their donations, and I hope you will support them in this very difficult time for the food and beverage industry. Thanks also to my friends Nancy and David Scull for generously donating a week at their place in Key Largo. Event sponsors at $150 or more will get a 2021 Big Train season pass, the perfect holiday gift for your favorite baseball crazy family. So now we're going to hand out some well-deserved awards to our friends and partners at BCC Baseball. If there hadn't been BCC Baseball, there would not be Bethesda Big Train. It's as simple as that. That was the message that I would use every summer when I introduced BCC Baseball founder Denise Gorham to throw out a first pitch at BCC Baseball night at Povich Field. The conventional wisdom was that summer college baseball could not be successful in a busy place like Bethesda with all the entertainment options that we have here. Summer college baseball thrives in places like Chatham, Massachusetts, Edenton, North Carolina, and Newmarket, Virginia. Suburban Washington, D.C. was an unlikely place for summer college baseball to succeed. While I would warn our founding members and supporters about this, I told them that I thought we could make it work here because of the strong youth baseball program we have in BCC Baseball. The families of BCC Baseball were the market that gave us the confidence to attempt to defy conventional wisdom. And this is personal for me. When my son Hugh was 4 years old, he announced that it was time for him to play organized baseball. Our daughter Emily had played in BCC Baseball, and we signed Hugh up for that. Coaching a BCC rec team was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. You're now looking at a picture of the 1999 BCC Warthogs. The other coach is Phil Leibowitz, whose Sandy Spring Builders built the clubhouse at Povich Field. 2 of those little rec league players went on to be Division I All-American pitchers. One of them pitched in the major leagues for the Chicago Cubs. I've always thought that one of my proudest baseball accomplishments was I didn't ruin Danny Hultzen when he was 10 years old. I'm grateful to BCC Baseball on a personal level for the joys and opportunities and friendships it gave me and my family, and on an organizational level for the support it's given the Big Train. In 2002, Bethesda Community Baseball Club established the Randy Schools Big Train Outstanding Service Award in honor of our Booster Club chair and longtime community leader, Randy Schools. In 2011, we presented the award to BCC Baseball founder Denise Gorham to recognize her support of Big Train Baseball right from our founding. From 2012 through 2019 championship season, BCC Baseball took stewardship of Big Train Baseball. I'm grateful to BCC Baseball for supporting the Big Train for 8 successful seasons. Tonight, we're recognizing longtime BCC staffer Gene Kurtz, who became executive director when Denise recently retired, BCC Baseball President Doug Cashmere, who helped guide the transition of Big Train from BCC Baseball back to a reconstituted Bethesda Community Baseball Club this year, and David Schneider, who served as general manager of Big Train for 4 seasons and now serves as assistant director of operations at BCC Baseball. Gene, Doug, and David's names will be added to that of Denise Gorham on the Randy Schools Big Train Outstanding Service Award plaque in the press box at Povich Field. We have for each of them a framed replica of the print of Big Train Baseball at Povich Field, done by famed printmaker Joseph Craig English in 1999. So congratulations, David, to you and Doug and Gene on your awards.
Thank you, Bruce. I am honored to accept this award on behalf of Doug, Gene, myself, and BCC Baseball. Big Train's a wonderful community, or part of the community, and we all look forward to seeing it grow to new heights under Bethesda Community Baseball Club leadership.
Thank you, David. Now, tell us how you first got involved. You were involved in Big Train for a long time. How did you first get involved?
Yeah, so I actually had my first introduction to Big Train in 2001 when a close friend hosted a player, Bobby Livingston. But I really got involved with Big Train in 2013 when I spent the summer as an operations intern. I mostly ran the scoreboard from the press box and sometimes even shared the press box with Cal Ripken Jr., which was definitely a highlight. In 2014, I actually came back as a writing intern. And then upon graduation with a degree in sport management, I was hired as the assistant general manager for the 2015 season.
You moved right up the ladder to be general manager. You saw a lot of championship baseball. What was your favorite Big Train moment?
Yeah, so it's hard to narrow down, all the memories I have with Big Train, but on a general level, I would say my favorite part was winning 4 championships in 4 years as general manager. But on a more specific level, I think that there's 3 memories that really stick out for me. 2 of them were from the 2019 season. The first one being the entire 2019 league championship series against the T-Bolts. Starting the series down 1-0, then narrowly edging out the T-Bolts in game 2. And then in game 3, going down 4-0 into the 8th inning and, stealing the game from the T-Bolts, earning that victory and taking home the championship was, something so special and something that I'll never forget. Seeing how happy the fans were, at this high level of play, coming back, from being down is always, something that you'll remember. Another moment was from the 2019 season when Hunter Renfroe came back for Hunter Renfroe night. Just the way Hunter Renfroe was generous with his time, speaking with the fans, signing autographs, giving tips to players, that was something amazing to see. And I think every Big Train fan who goes to a game wonders, what happens to Big Train players when they leave? Will they remember us when they, leave Big Train? And Hunter Renfroe, he just played in the World Series. He's a big time player, and he was willing to spend so much time with our fans who adored him so much. And that, really meant a lot to me and the Big Train community. I think, the third memory that, really sticks out to me goes back to the 2016 season when Big Train won the first championship after 4 years losing in a row to the Redbirds. Big Train fans always traveled well to away games, but this championship series specifically, something stuck out to me. And that was, when a player, Clayton Daniel from Jacksonville State, came to bat. All season long, his walk-up song was "Take Me Home, Country Roads." And at this game 2 in Baltimore, our fans were so excited, so involved with the team that when Clayton Daniel was coming up to bat, the whole crowd was singing that song. And it was, something that still gives me chills thinking about, because, you just see these dedicated fans, the amazing community that Big Train, has, and, the Bethesda community really supports these players and the organization. And that was something that really sticks with me.
Those are great memories. Plus, hanging out with Cal wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So what's up with BCC baseball? I mean, this has been a really tough year. How are things there? I know you have a big job there now.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a difficult year for everybody, not just BCC baseball, but we just finished our fall 2020 season, and I'm proud to report that we were able to keep the kids safe, and we finished the season successfully. We actually just had tryouts for our select and travel teams this past week, and we also had championship games for our select league this past week as well. Rec registration is open for the spring season, and we're looking forward to continuing to provide a safe outlet for the kids in the Bethesda community to to play baseball, to have fun, to grow as players, and in a safe environment, most importantly. And I'm also looking forward to continuing to work in the Bethesda community baseball world, seeing those familiar faces from Big Train games in BCC baseball jerseys, and vice versa, where we have BCC players going to Big Train games.
Great. Well, thanks, David. We appreciate all that you and your colleagues at BCC baseball have done over the 2 decades to make Big Train a success. Over the next 3 Sundays, we'll present 6 additional Randy School's Big Train Outstanding Service Awards. So I hope you'll pencil in on your calendar November 22nd, 29th, and December 6th at 7 o'clock or anytime after on bigtrain.tv. And now our Hall of Fame manager, Sal Colangelo, will present the 2019 Big Train Most Valuable Player Award. It's all yours, Sal.
In 2019, Kobe Kato had a summer like few have ever had. He blew the Cal Ripken League records out of the water, setting new eye-popping marks with a 441 average, a 612 on-base percentage, and 48 walks in 37 games. Thanks to his excellent plate discipline, he collected multiple hits in half the games he played and reached base in all but 2 contests. Kobe wowed all of us at the plate, but was a star in every aspect of the game. He stole 26 bases, which ranks 2nd in Big Train single season history, and played strong defense at several positions. For good reason, he was named the Cal Ripken League Offensive Player of the Year, and now has another award to add to his resume. Kobe Kato, I am proud to present you with the 2019 Big Train Most Valuable Player. Would you like to say anything to the Big Train fans, Kobe?
Big Train fans, thank you out there for all the support. It was really great when I was out there over the summer. You guys were really great. It was very interactive, and the support that you guys gave the community and also the Big Train team was great. Seeing you guys out there constantly made it really fun for the guys on the field to just continue to keep coming out day by day. And I hope you guys continue to go out there, because it's a great team, it's a great program, it's a great place to play at, and there's nothing better than playing baseball in the summer.
Well said, Kobe. Well, we appreciate everything you've done. Looking forward to watching you this spring. Hopefully we have about as normal as it can be this spring, and get you out there and keep track of you and make us proud. I know you will. You'll do good things, and say hi to the other guys for us.
No problem. We'll do.
Big Train baseball at Shirley Povich Field is only possible because of our extraordinary volunteers. Our historian, Bill Hickman, tells me that we've had more than 1,000 volunteers, from middle schoolers to seniors, to help make Povich Field experience special for our local baseball fans. Bethesda Community Baseball Club established the John Ourisman Big Train Volunteer Honor Roll in 2003 to honor our co-founder, John Ourisman, for his commitment to the concept of volunteer-led community baseball, and to express our appreciation to those who have given at least 5 years of volunteer service to the Big Train. That first year in 2003, 30 Big Train volunteers were the first to be listed on the honor roll, including John Ourisman. Since then, another 60 volunteers have been added to the honor roll. And tonight, I'm pleased to announce that Patrick Chapman, known far and wide as Big Train's Banana Man, will be the 91st Big Train volunteer to have his name added to the Ourisman honor roll. Patrick doesn't just show up. He gets busy. If there are extra cinnamon pretzels to be sold, he sells them. If there are hats or T-shirts to be sold, he's out in the stands. But he's best known to Big Train fans as Banana Man. And I swear to you, I'm not sure we would have won the Ripken League Championship in 2019 had it not been for Patrick racing around the ballpark like a crazed banana and firing up our fans. So, Patrick, I want to thank you for your hard work and for the spirit you've shown in rallying Big Train fans, both at home and on the road. And this week, I ordered the mini plate with your name on it that will go up on the Ourisman Honor Roll plaque in the Povich press box. So 2020 was your 5th year as a Big Train volunteer, but you're a hockey player. How did you get to be a Big Train volunteer?
So actually, a little bit of a funny story. I had been going to Big Train for about 10 years. However, I'd never had season tickets until, I believe, 2015. And in 2015, I noticed that the team store seemed very quiet, and that bothered me a little bit. I'm not sure why it bothered me, but it bothered me a little bit. So between the 2015 and 2016 seasons, I talked to my dad and was thinking, hey, what do you think if I helped out at the team store? He thought it was a great idea. So the next season was my first year volunteering at Big Train, and I helped out at the team store, and I had a great time. It was me and another intern there, and we just sat there for hours trying to sell stuff, and I loved it.
Well, I remember all of a sudden there was this kid walking through the stands selling T-shirts and hats and occasionally cinnamon rolls and pretzels, and I'm like, who's this guy? So thank you for the initiative to go out to the fans and do some selling. So how do you become Banana Man?
So in 2017, I think it was, which was my second year, on Halloween night, I wore my banana costume. That's how the whole Banana Man thing started. So the Big Train, I believe, were playing the Rockville Express and we're losing in, I think, the 7th, 8th inning. So I came out in my banana suit and started chanting, and the fans absolutely loved it. So I decided to bring it back in the playoffs of that year, and we ended up winning the championship. So every year since then, on Halloween night, I'll wear the banana suit, and then in the playoffs, home and away games, I'll wear the banana suit and cheer the Big Train on.
If you remember, we were struggling in those playoffs. Good as we were struggling. Yeah. I'm telling you, you really made a big difference. So what does it feel like to be able to get hundreds of people to start yelling and screaming and cheering for the Big Train? What's that feel like to you?
Well, it feels great. And, you know, the Big Train, the crowd used to be pretty quiet prior to Banana Man. I will say that. A more traditional baseball crowd, you know, you don't hear the almost like high school or Premier League style chanting at the games. Right. But it's been so fun to watch the community, the Big Train community, get involved and cheer the Big Train on to, I believe, was our 4th straight championship. So that was just great. 5th straight, maybe.
So I personally really hope you have not given up on being Banana Man. But this summer, we asked you to step up and work with J.D. Gorman from BCC High School to help us create a youth advisory committee. So would you tell us about the committee and where we stand in terms of getting that launched?
Well, first of all, Banana Man's not going away. He's staying.
All right.
Right. So the youth advisory committee, J.D. Gorman and I, we've been working on this for the last couple of months. We've been recruiting a couple of high school students, and we've had our first about two meetings with the youth advisory committee. And these kids, they're just great. They've really embraced the whole Big Train community idea, and I'm really excited with some more of the ideas that they'll come up with.
So what would you say from your experience? You've just now graduated from high school. What would you say to a middle schooler or a high school student about the benefits of being a Big Train volunteer?
I mean, there's just so many benefits. You will never know who you meet at a Big Train game. The last couple of years, I've seen Congressman Jamie Raskin there. I've seen Senator Chris Van Hollen there once or twice. I believe in 2017 he stopped by. And then we've even there was a Cuban delegation from the Cuban embassy a few years back.
Right.
And, you never know who's going to show up to a Big Train game. And on top of that, if you need to knock out some SSL service hours, you can do that as well. I mean, there's so many connections you can create. And at the same time, you can have fun and knock off some of your school requirements.
So any students that want to become Big Train volunteers or maybe even apply for the Youth Advisory Committee can email our general manager, Chris Rogers, and we're going to show that email on the screen. So my co-founder, John Ourisman, once said to me that if the adults all quietly left their volunteer posts and went on to watch the game, that middle schoolers would run the Big Train show at Povich Field. I was never quite sure whether he was kidding or not, but the student volunteers have been a great asset to Big Train over the 2 decades. So this summer, the new board of Bethesda Community Baseball Club created a bullpen club with the goal of making Big Train baseball at Povich Field one of the most welcoming, enjoyable experiences in all of baseball. So we're not just looking for student volunteers, although we want them. But if you love baseball and you enjoy giving back to the community, serving as a Big Train volunteer, or even applying to be a member of our new bullpen club may be a good opportunity for you. Again, the way to get information on that is to email our Big Train general manager, Chris Rogers. So thanks, Patrick, for your service to Big Train. Let's hope our conversation tonight will spur some viewers to become Big Train volunteers and have their names added to the Ourisman Honor Roll next to yours at the 2025 Big Train Baseball and Holiday Auction. Thank you, Patrick.
Great. Thank you, Bruce.
Big Train fans, I hope you've enjoyed the first of our 4 Sunday night holiday auction specials. Next Sunday, November 22nd, starting at 7 p.m. on BigTrain.tv, I'll be interviewing Hank Thomas, the grandson and the biographer of Walter Johnson. I had great fun back in June when I had Hank and Tim Kurkjian talking about baseball's Big Train on Safe at Home Tuesdays. Hank is quite the storyteller. So here's a clip from that interview where Hank describes Johnson coming into Game 7 of the 1924 World Series.
It's 3-3 at the end of 9 innings. And Harris is completely out of pitching, completely. Who's he got warming up out there in the bullpen? He's got Walter Johnson. 1 day's rest or no day's rest. What difference does it make? Calls Walter in, hands him the ball, and he says, Walter, whatever happens, win or lose, it's your game, which means you're not coming out. You are not coming out. We don't have any more pitchers. This is your. So, Griffith said, I looked at Johnson out there on the mound and I saw his face and I saw the way he held the ball. He said, I saw a lion. I knew he had that. He was a lion.
So I hope you'll join us next Sunday for the second of our 4 Big Train holiday specials to hear more from Hank about baseball's Big Train. As many of you know, this June we reestablished the Bethesda Community Baseball Club and retook stewardship over Big Train baseball from our friends at BCC Baseball. We've had a very productive 5 months. We incorporated the organization. We recruited a first-rate board of directors. We secured our 501c3 status with the IRS, so your contributions will be tax exempt. We helped fill the baseball void for our fans with BigTrain.tv and the Big Train Beacon. We honored 5 community heroes, donated $2,500 to the Manna Food Center, and hired Chris Rogers as our general manager. Chris is doing a great job producing these BigTrain.tv specials among a whirlwind of projects to help us get ready to bring the fun back to Povich Field in 2021 after this tough year. So So we're going to dedicate our 2021 season to the nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and public safety workers who are helping us get through this crisis. Wouldn't it be great if we could have a Dr. Fauci bobblehead night? Longtime Big Train fans are going to remember the I Ate a Cicada at Povich Field t-shirt night in 2004. Well, they're coming back. I'm hoping we can get Chef Jose Andres to prepare the cicadas for us next June. And we're planning on our first Roberto Clemente Community Service Day for Saturday morning, June 12th, to be followed that night with a tribute to Latin American baseball, complete with all the Big Train players wearing number 21, a mariachi band, and plates full of pupusas. Mark Sunday, July 18th down in your calendar when the Big Train takes on Team Israel at Shirley Povich Field in an exhibition game as Team Israel prepares for the Olympics in Tokyo. If you want the inside scoop on that, bid on the Zoom interview with Barry Weinberg, who works closely with the team. Barry's Zoom call is item number 7 in the auction. And many thanks to our friends at Israel Association of Baseball for donating a game-worn Team Israel jersey. That's item 14. It's a size large. Next week, we have another game-used Team Israel jersey auctioning off a size extra large. Big Train historian Bill Hickman has generously donated an extraordinary collection of first edition comic books. In this week's auction, item number 23 is a 1953 Volume 1, Number 1, 3-dimension Adventures of Superman, complete with a back cover of Superman hurling a giant baseball. So bidding on all these items will close on Wednesday, November 18th at 10 o'clock. This is your opportunity to pick up fabulous items and special experiences as holiday gifts for family and friends, often at less than market rates, while helping us prepare for the 2021 season of Big Train Baseball at Povich Field. So thanks for watching tonight. If you've enjoyed this show, please go online to www.bigtrain.org and make a donation. I hope to see you next Sunday night, November 22nd, when our special guest will be Hank Thomas, grandson and biographer of Walter Big Train Johnson. Be strong, stay safe, roll train.